race fans, good evening and welcome. Thank you for joining us here. We have a little Virginia Motorsports Club race going on, and they're joining us here on iRacing while they're taking some time off during the quarantine, of course. So we got a couple guys who are getting used to the digital version here. We got a grid of 6 going through the practice at the moment. We're going to finish this off with 10 minutes of qualifying and 30 minutes of racing. Right now your leader up here is Justin. He's putting in 1:47.7. Full nearly 2 seconds off of everybody else. Very impressive. Mr. Motorsports himself is on an outlap, still hasn't gotten out to the track. That's okay. Friends of Tony's are friends of ours. We are glad to know him on the digital side of things. Great paint on that car. The rustic Mad Max looking paint on Justin's car is great. What is it? Trying to see what the paint is. It's just a rustic patchwork paint job here. Oh, great. For some of you guys who are new, if you're wondering about your lockups, these are generally some of the best ways to tell. We're coming down to straights. Sort of see which wheels are locking up for you there. It does help a lot. Let's go back to our camera views. Take a little trip down the rest of the grid here. Just behind him is Kyle. He's put in a 1:49.4, 1:49.5. All right. Let's keep going back a little bit. Gonna groove through practice here, let everybody do their thing, having a good time. It's a little off for let's see who that was. Maybe Alan here. I love these SRAs. They are some of the greatest just race cars out there. I really, really love these things. They're like the spec Ford racers, but they also have a fair amount of downforce. So you know they're a little bit tricky. You do the similar slide around corners that the spec racers do, but you know, you gotta respect that aerodynamics too and keep your speed up to maintain your grip. They are just race cars though, as prototypes are. Well, what's Tony doing? He's got himself on track here. The AM's oil machine. Right on with it. comes T-Bone around, and he's not going to give up. He did just set a lap, okay. And he's 1.3 seconds off of Allen there. T-Bone isn't going to get to match himself up against the other guys. He's just getting a feel for the track. He's had a lot less track time during this practice session. That is just a magical turn. Any turn out there that crests the top of a hill, such as the last turn at Road Atlanta, when you crest a turn through a medium speed turn, it's just magic happens. I just love the feeling of losing the car out from under you and just playing with the wheel and the gas pedal as you move through the turn. It's just marvelous. Here we go. Ending practice, folks. Let's take a look at our race info today. Silverstone, the great Silverstone. I believe they may be. No, this is the Grand Prix circuit. But is it the old circuit? Which I believe it is. Yep. We're going through Maggots and Beckett's. Headed down to the hangar straight. We got a real high track temperature of 105 right now. We're pushing it up there. See if these guys will show their best laps ahead of time towards the end. Exactly certain, but we got 10 minutes qualifying here, folks. Let's switch over. We'll see where Jeremy Corbin is at. He's not out of the pits yet. Riding along with James Daniel here. These guys getting a lot of experience here in these tiny cars, but this big, wide racetrack really is one of the wider ones out there. So the lines that they're taking are just sweeping, to say the least. Just side to side, just kissing the grass on either side. We'll see what happens when we get a couple racers next to each other, and we'll have to be a little bit more conservative. Ooh, going off there. Oh, really got to play with the gas on these cars. They are very light. Justin there setting the first official race lap for a 148.4, quickly followed by Mr. Rice, who does a 148.2. Here comes Allen down the final chicane through the last corner, set a time for us here. He is third so far. Oh, excuse me, that is Kyle who's third so far. Oh, because of this layout, the start-finish line is down the other side, coming up to it around this big right-hander here. And here we are. Let's see where Allen's going to stack up. Good enough for fourth place, hops ahead of James Daniel, but James definitely seems to have had some sort of off there. Surprising that it registered his lap with assuming there was some sort of incident there. Sometimes you don't spin completely 180 degrees compared to the track, so it does not count as an out of control or loss of control. Still waiting for John Corbin to set a lap here. Here he comes. Across the line. That's third fastest for him. It's still Justin, Tony, and John. Your top three at the moment. Let's go on board with Justin, see where he's running at. Just ahead of John there. And this just great paint job. All right, folks, we're 6 minutes through qualifying. It's a 2 minute plus out lap, 2 minutes a lap pretty much after that. Yeah, it looks like Justin's coming. He's put in 2 laps so far. Maybe this is his third. Kyle Banks goes second fastest. Pips Tony by, what is that, about 6 100ths there. And big lock up there. He's gonna definitely abandon this lap. He fires away in frustration, it looks like. Allen is back to the pit lane there. Let's check in with Jeremy. Oh, excuse me, John. I don't know why I read Jeremy. I knew there wasn't a Jeremy on track. All right, coming down the straight here. I don't think he's going to have the time to squeeze in another lap. I think that will be it for him. He doesn't have the 146 and change left. Oh, sorry. Yes, he does. Sorry, I don't know what I'm thinking. We have 2.5 minutes left, so everybody's going to get one more in here. Justin with a 146.4. Let's check in with James, see what's going on with him. Is he going to set a better time here? He moves himself up to 5th place. And Allen, who's exiting the pits now, I don't think he realizes the time. He's not going to have enough time to finish here, but maybe he's just trying some things with his setup and trying to get ready for the race. Maybe a few more minutes of practice behind the wheel of this machine, feeling it out. provisional pole here, Justin. And I believe that's Tony coming down the up. He's abandoning that lap there. Looks like he finished. Here's John Corbin. Where is he here? Coming around that big right-hander, a little lockup there. The long right-hander. It's so difficult to get right. You really want to. Your first instinct is to drop your foot and really sort of get out of there. But that turn is much longer than you anticipate it being, no matter how many times you take it. And it looks like that is where he will stay in third place. 40 seconds remaining in qualifying. I don't think. Here's Kyle Banks has one last opportunity. So hug it a little bit tighter there. Might save himself just a smidge, but he doesn't manage to raise himself up at all. Here's James Daniel coming through the final section here. He's got 15 seconds to finish. He needs to hug that tighter. He's losing little bits of time there. He'll have to beat his own time by at least 4 seconds to move up there. And he's not able to beat his own time, so he will stay right there. All right, folks, let's take a rundown of your qualifying grid here. Well, in a moment when it decides to have everybody up. Again, let's look at our track info here for the Virginia Motorsports Club. We're round 2 here at Silverstone. Beautiful day for racing. And your grid menu still does not like me. I'm apologize for that. Let's take a look at the standings here, where I can run you down very simply. In pole position, we have Justin Lowland, followed by Tony Rice making up the front row. Then we have John Corbin and Kyle Banks. And finally, we have James Daniel and Alan Chenery. Sorry about that. And so we are just waiting for these guys to finish up. These a little 2-minute overlay between qualifying and the race time. Nice big lockup. Thank goodness we got some fresh tires for this race. Looks like Mr. Chenery is still getting a little bit of practice out there. He and James, strangely enough, are only 2/10 away from each other. Really getting to grips with this car and this track be pretty difficult. And people say that it's simpler to go from sim racing to the real thing than you know, the real thing to sim racing here. You sort of get caught out a little bit and you're driving with your hands instead of your seat. There are some slight differences when you're expecting to feel certain things in the car. All right, folks. Looks like qualifying is ending here. We are gearing up to go racing. Looks like we're going to have a rolling start here, which is very intelligent. These cars are very difficult to do a standing start in. Piece of advice for anybody who does: if you don't want to spin out and die unless you're an alien, in which you can handle it, I always start in second gear. That first gear is just treacherous and will throw your rear end around, and facing the wrong direction on the starting grid is not a great place to start the race. All right, folks, here we go. Here they come down the hangar straight to this little uphill section that I just adore. It just shifts the weight over your car as you take this right-hander and go back downhill. Almost getting a little out of shape. It's nice to give each other room as well. Stay on your right side. Justin Lowland crashed on my software here, but I don't believe he did, and to be quite honest, it's going to be very difficult to tell if he gets any damage on that car. I do believe that damage has been turned off on for this race. Alright folks, getting ready to do 30 minutes of green flag racing here at Silverstone. And Justin just getting the launch of the century there. Behind him, Tony Rice and John are making up the second row here. Back up for second place there. Looking a little crazy through Maggots and Beckett's for everybody out there. They're starting to spread out a little bit. It's really important to stay in the slipstream with these guys. John staying up there with the leaders. Might have a little pack here. Tony staying close as everybody's warming up these tires on this first lap. Getting to grips with it, quite literally. Getting a little wide there, Justin. He manages to hang on, though. Could be a very, very tricky corner. Gotta get your braking zones just perfect there. And this is on that corner I'm talking about, where you just want to put your foot down and get away from the person behind or catch the guy in front of you, but you know you're gonna have to bleed off speed if you're not careful there. Tony's staying with him for now, quickly followed by John Corbin. A little bit further back, James has a bit of a gap on Allen and Kyle Banks behind him. Let's go back up with your leaders here. Going through Maggots and Beckett's. Down onto the straight. Tony's only 0.7 behind now. Let's see, that's John Corbin with 1.6. Let me try and put the intervals up here. There we go. This makes it very easy to see the gaps between cars. You got Tony, who's only 0.7, and then there's another 0.7 back to John there. Although he takes a little trip to cut the grass. He's going to fall behind probably around 3 by the end. Oh, and he's still slipping all over. Getting a little frustrated, wants to put his foot back down and can't control the car. The front two are still battling it out here. Right, we come across and we complete lap 2 here at Silverstone. He's dropping back behind slightly. He's a second behind him now. Vital straights. Here's a second. He's not making up that much time on the straights. He really isn't. It's one of those where you really got to drive the track and the driver. Stay with somebody, you really got to focus on your points and making it smooth through here and just shaving off the small margins. Just back behind we got Kyle Banks right on the tail of James Daniel there. He's going to make something happen here. He's going to go side by side. Almost. This was what I was talking about, is these guys getting used to of grip and adhesion that they have using the entire track. But on the inside there, Kyle Banks says, I've got enough grip, and locks it up a little bit into the second to last corner there. Oh, it looks like John Corbin is off again and drops down to 5th. You better look out, James. He's got a great exit from that corner. Oh, and he gives him a little tap for the block there. Oh, and he gets him on the inside. Well done. Great pass there, James. Some great battles that come through Agats and Beckett's here. He might have a run on him if he gets a decent exit onto the straight. Very sensible. Back up at the top, the battle for the lead is starting to heat up here. And they've got a lap car to deal with. And Alan Sinery. He's seeing the blue flags, and Tony must be getting a little frustrated there. Alan really using all the track and not giving him a window. That's not cool, man. That's not your race. Oh, this could be messy. Okay, good. You know, it is lonely out there. I understand there's only 6 guys on the track at the moment. And, you know, you want to race somebody, but that's not your race. We've cost Mr. Motorsport here, you know, about 2 seconds there, so sorry, sir. think Allen has moved back to the pit lane there. It's time to do more repairs for him. Back up at the top. Tony is starting just slightly to reel him in there. Getting it under 2 seconds from 2.3, 2.4 a moment ago. Let's see how far Tony is behind. He's really starting to get there now. Tony having a little off back there. I'm not exactly sure what happened to him. Can be tricky at those high-speed turns when you're coming around there. And it doesn't take much for that rear end to step out on you. These cars are a little bit unstable in that point of traction. The small wheelbase snaps very quickly on you. Moving at high speeds, you have very little time or space really to fix it. Race with the lap car of Allen there. Falling back about 5 seconds behind the leader here. He's going to need a substantial mistake by Justin here. Tony's cut it to 4.5 here. 4.3, 4.2, 4.1, 4, 3. What's going on? Maybe Justin's just being nice, trying to make a race out of it. Just trying to take it easy, make sure he doesn't spin it on the turns, because we are done with our first third of this race. We're 11 minutes in now, folks. Tony making it 3.5. A little bit further back, we have John Corbin here, who's trying to get on the back bumper of Kyle. Just can't seem to stay with him. Trying to reel him in a little bit. Him is James Corbin by another 9 seconds there. Some of the different driving styles out there. Some of these real life racers, you know, try to put their trust and confidence in these cars. As Kyle, drifts back there, and John moves himself up to third place. Looks like, oh, he had a little bit of a crash there. He's coming in for a quick repair. His nose looks all damaged up. Smart move as James goes ahead of him. Let's go back up to your leader here. Justin, whose car is, we cannot see the damage on it. Oh, he goes off his system. Maybe this is the moment that Tony was waiting for. Let's see what that was. Oh, Tony had fallen back himself, though, and that brings it back to about 3.5 seconds for the lead of this race. Kyle still sitting in the pits. I wonder if they have factory cars turned on for this race. Kyle is now heading out. Maybe he got himself a new set of boots to try to make up that pit stop that he just had. A little further back, we have James here. That corner seems to be catching a few people out in these cars. Yeah, a couple of these lower speed chicanes, when you have to come down from those higher speeds, can be a little bit difficult in these cars. The rear wheels are not too far behind the front. They're just like, might as well slide out. Go up to third place here. John Corbin. Coming over that crest, just that rear end wants to go one way or the other. I'm actually glad that this is the classic, not the updated one around Church Corner, because I think that tighter, newer section would just be a little too much for these ones. Tony has now cut that lead down below 2.5 seconds. He's got the bit between his teeth now. If he can just keep it on the black stuff. Very liberal usage of the curves there. Tony wanted to get on that skinny pedal a little bit quicker there, but thought better of it. Loses just a little bit of time here. Now he's doing much better on these faster turns, making a little bit of time up there. Further back, there's not much to speak of in terms of battles, but certainly wholesale positions at times to be won or lost. So it's good to stay in this race as we are past the halfway point. And just get in your groove and keep putting laps down. We are down to 5 drivers in this race. James here in 4th. Take a look at that race info. Track temps down at 68 degrees at the moment. A little bit further back to, well, it is last place at the moment. Sorry, Kyle. No, it is 5th place. He comes out of the pits with probably some new tires, and you know, if you need any fuel. I don't believe a pit stop is necessary for this race. Bit of a lockup. It's so difficult with these SR8s. Sometimes the weight will just change on you. Can't help it. Let's go with Justin, who's right behind him now, lapping Kyle Banks there. It is saying John's name and Daniel's name in but they can't be lapped. They are physically not enough seconds behind to be lapped. Sean Corbin here, only about a minute and 2 seconds behind leader. Still coming up in red for some weird reason. And here comes James Daniel down the hanger straight. Takes that corner pretty much as perfect as you can. It's how you want to feel every time. It's getting a feel for it as John Corbin goes off in front of him. He gives himself a little chance here, and I think he gets past. John is not liking that section, to say the least. Now we have a little battle going on here for 3rd, the final podium position. Yeah, it's sorry, the software is a little strange at the moment. Sometimes the iRacing software will do this if Justin and Tony are closer to lapping James than they are in front. Oh, and there's Justin, the leader, having a little off here, having some difficulty. So here's Tony going to take the lead. Justin, nice and respectful, doesn't bash into him as he re-enters the track. A little frustration there and gets moving though. Here's your new race leader, Tony Rice. Oh, sorry, that's a minute and 16 that James is behind. And John has certainly fallen back from James's bumper there, having a few issues this evening. James has more or less stayed away from a lot of trouble in this race. I mean, he has a few off tracks, but no big crashes, you know. He's had one crash actually just a moment ago. And he's kept it pretty clean and, you know, kept out of the pits, and he finds himself in third place by not being the fastest racer on the track. Generally the way to do it. Back up at the top. Justin's made it under 2 seconds now. As we slip into the final 5 minutes here, without the commentators noticing, Justin's got a good feel for this car. He's made it down to 1.4 here through the Maggots and Beckett's. He needs to keep it on track just so he could have stayed in that slipstream. Now he's going to make it over 2 seconds by the time they're done here. And there he goes. Kind of interesting to watch the times through here. If I put any money on it, I would say Justin is better at braking and Tony is better at turning and handling the car through the turns. And I imagine the straight line speed is fairly comparable. Made it almost second here. It's 1.1 at the moment. A little bit further back, John Corbin has caught up to James there. James had a little accident or something. He's lost quite a bit of time there. Oh! Justin pushing it. It's so easy to do through Maggots and Beckett's. Just the weight of this car, the balance of it left to right. That's why I always start in second gear. It's so difficult in the first gear in this thing, especially if you got dust on those tires. Start in third or fourth if you like. Right towards the end. As looks like we have about less than 2.5 minutes remaining. Tony just needs to keep it clean and keep it smooth. He's got a 15-second lead over Justin. A little bit further back, John has started to take advantage of what may be a damaged James here, because he's just slowly leaking time to him. I don't see anything immediate on that car. What is wrong? Sometimes it doesn't take all that much as John moves it down to under 4 seconds there. Just as I was saying, is James had a nice, clean, slower but cleaner race. Looks like he's finally lost it a little bit. It looks like Justin's have had himself a little off again as these tires go away from him. Back there, John is starting to put the pressure on with 2.5 here. Make that 2. Close enough for a slipstream now, 1.7 down the straight. If you can tuck up behind him, there he goes. As Kyle comes into the pits there. Oh! And James feels the pressure there. He's going to get a slow down penalty for that and lose that position. John, as you were, back up into 3rd place. As we come across the end of this race, here is your race leader. And Corbin off. Daniel back up to 3rd place. It's all getting a little crazy towards the end here. And here's Tony, your race leader, sandwiched in between them, coming around possibly for the last time. Corbin wants to get by and make a move on James, but oh, I don't think it's going to happen for him. That's the checkered flag there, folks. There's your race leader, number 1. And James Daniel just able to hold on to that final podium position over John Corbin. It was smart of James to let Tony by there and let him take it, or else he very well might have been on another lap because he was ahead of the leader, I believe. A little bit further back, here's Justin coming in 2nd place here. James Daniel, of course, taking home that 3rd position. And John, who is frustratedly probably giving himself a break. Great race from all the racers here. This is a very demanding track and a very demanding car. But it's definitely a racer's car. Credit to Justin Lowland, who led the majority of the race here and just lost it at pretty much 1 point. There is your race leader doing his victory lap here. He waves to the pit crew down the straight. Wow, such a close finish there with John just coming 6/100ths off of James after he wanted to let Tony pass first. Very, very sketchy maneuver there. Glad everybody's having a little bit of fun there, folks. Here is your race results, which are completely out of size at the moment, but as they were, we have Tony Rice, Justin Lowland, James Daniel, John Corbin, Kyle Banks, and Alan Chenery. Thank you very much for joining us here. I hope you all have a pleasant evening.